Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Nighter Discussions. Joining me today is friend of the program, Devon Canal. Devon, how are you
Hey,
doing?
I'm doing great, man. Genuinely, I just got pretty much fresh out of watching that movie, and I'm really excited to talk about it. It's a beautiful mess. Oh,
And the
it's a
movie,
gorgeous mess. It's
that
it's
movie, of
great.
course, right? You want to tell them what we're talking about?
So today we're going to be talking about the 1984 Dune film, which is kind of coinciding with the release of Villeneuve's in the next couple weeks. So yeah,
It's almost
it's gonna
like
be
I
good.
planned it that way.
I know. It's really weird. I don't know how you came up with
Yeah.
it.
Now, you
Yeah.
call it 1984's Dune. I call it David Lynch's Dune,
Hmm.
which I think is how people categorize it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You mean Alan Smithies?
Alan Smithies. So we're going to get into how David Lynch feels about this movie soon. So let's not spoil the good fun that we're about to have. But another
Uh,
thing I wanted to ask Devin is about the movie that you were doing,
mm.
right? So why don't you tell us about that?
So currently, I'm in the midst of directing a 23-minute horror short. We just finished principal production. I got a composer on it right now. We got somebody editing it. Just getting a mixer. That's the thing right now. We're skeleton crewing, so currently I'm arranging the audio and figuring that out. But it looks great. So I should probably tell you about it. So it's the classic tale of a monkey's paw, but I guess the way I would describe it is kind of a blend. So what we wanted to do was something different stylistically. Of course, you get the three cursed wishes. It's a story of two mothers, a son who's working too much. They're given this object and everything. It's like, okay, makes their lives worse. But whereas the other one ends with basically, if you don't know the classic tale, they're given this paw and everything. They're like, hey, it'll solve all of your dreams if if you wish on it. They do. It's not great. They wish for money from the house. They get the
Mhm.
money for the house by the son dying in an accident. It's like, oh my God. And then after that, out of grief, one of the mothers is like, oh, bring me back my son. And then they go and he comes back dead. We continue after he's dead. It keeps on going and everything, and it kind of explores this I guess failed dynamic of kind of a traditional family unit
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. But we are talking about a what is commonly agreed upon to be a disaster by both
Mm-hmm.
fans of this novel and fans of the director David Lynch. This was his third feature, coming off of Eraserhead and The Elephant Man, and this was his first big commercial blockbuster venture.
Yeah.
This was a chance for him to um, try to be something that he never would be, which is a crowd pleaser,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
popcorn crowd pleaser. Now, Devin, let me ask you your relationship with both the material, the Dune novel, and David Lynch.
I thought you were gonna say popcorn for a second. I was like, I'll go on. I was like, I love popcorn. So I've been a fan of David Lynch for a while now. First instance I got of him, I watched Rabbits whenever I was like, 17. That kind of put me on a kick. I was like, okay, this is great. I was like, this guy's super cool. I like how abstract and like how it's like it's not explained. I was like, I really liked that. I was like, it seemed like somebody literally taking every single thing they had in mind and just throwing it out. Like it's refined, but it doesn't feel refined. It feels raw, it feels real across all of his movies. Of course, I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan, especially the third season. Now, don't get the first season's great and everything, but I was like, oh God. I was like, you're telling me you're going to give David Lynch near complete control over an entire other like a modern series of television. I was like, it's great. It's fantastic. Episode 8 is just blurs the lines between film and television. It's great. But so on the novel, I love Lynch. I love his trance-like editing. I like his abstract ideas. It's great. Now in the novel, God, I don't have it near me. I think I'm like 37 pages in. I think I tried
So
reading it before we got here
you
and
haven't even
everything.
started, basically. I mean,
No, I
37
haven't,
pages.
but I got
I'm just
you
talking
know,
because it's such a thick, long, dense novel that you haven't scraped the surface
no.
for a really long time. I mean, I don't remember when they get to Arrakis, but I just
No,
remember
there's
reading it. And yeah, it was as much of a journey as Lord of the Rings books. Like
mm-hmm.
if you took those three Lord of the Rings novels, put them into one book, you would have Dune in my mind in terms of
Yeah.
scope and
Yeah,
pacing.
literally. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. And you could tell that they're trying to do that in a 2-hour movie, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I barely scratched the surface, and I feel like I had a leg up on viewers who did no, a foot. I don't want to say a whole leg. I didn't get all. I had a foot up
A
ish.
toe. Let's
Yeah,
call it a
yeah,
toe.
toe. I had a toe up on him. Yeah, literally. No, but like I got that it was supposed to be reading it almost a political drama more than anything. It's what I got from it, what I read online, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I was like, I'm down for that. I was like, this is like what episode 2 was supposed to be, but good combined with Lord of the Rings. Make it like I'm like, okay, nice, whatever. But yeah, that movie, it's like you're reading genuinely. It is like you're read to me, it was like you're reading a book while you're watching it. Don't know how you feel, but like the voiceovers, the fact that they have that, what is it, 90-second, if not, no, longer expository intro with, oh God, this character,
I don't remember the character, but the actress is Virginia Madsen.
yeah, but that's who, yeah, she just
She's
fades
only in
on the
the
screen.
movie. After that, she's only in the movie for less than a minute. So why
Mm-hmm.
her
Mm-hmm.
character's delivering exposition, I don't know. Now, let's actually give some context because again, the production behind this movie is legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to talk too much about the other attempts to make this into a film,
Mm-hmm.
Dune into a film, because this podcast would go way too long. That's its own episode. But David Lynch um, was the first guy to finally come along and turn Dune into a movie after many infamous failed attempts. Um, and at the time, when critics heard that David Lynch would be directing a Dune adaptation, they were very excited. They thought the studio took a risk um, that would probably pay off in hiring an art house, very auteur kind of director like Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his his story through the production process is the nightmare for any young director who came into a property that was much bigger than him,
Mm-hmm.
was being put on a leash
Mm-hmm.
by the studio. Look, I don't have many nice things to say about this movie. As a movie, I'm looking at my notes. I don't see many compliments.
You
But
know,
what I
I thought that surprises me. I was like, okay, maybe he's gonna come at me with this like this argument, this deep love of it, and like, okay, cool. Not a
I want that to be the case, right? I do. I mean, I'm always rooting for David Lynch.
hmm.
Um, it's just a tragic mismatch of director and material, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, could you tell me why David Lynch should make the adaptation of Dune? Can you think of any qualities he has as a director that gives him those qualifications?
Because the producers liked Elephant Man. Because they were like,
And like
this
the money
guy,
that
they're
the
like,
Elephant Man
we don't
paid.
Jodorowsky, whatever, Ridley, it's fine. We don't want to. But this guy, like, it moved on to him, and I'm like, I can see the appeal of like what, but it's more of a mystery than anything. And on something that big, you don't. It's not a let's see how this turns out. It's a we need
Mhm.
like somebody that we know is going to get this off the ground. And I think it was just too much. Like you said, it's just a
Yeah.
conflict between. It's genuinely two styles, and you can tell while you're watching it.
So
completely.
another reason that I wanted to discuss this movie is because Arrow Video came out with a really great Blu-ray restoration of this film. It's a 2-disc. Yep.
I watched it. That's how I watched it.
You
Was
bought
this
this?
yeah, Air of it. Yeah.
Excellent.
I rented
Excellent.
it. It was fantastic. Oh my God. It's like for a movie where the VFX aren't like fantastic, it looked great. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the key part of that being the VFX aren't fantastic, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of great informative featurettes
hmm
and things that really dive into it. Now, David Lynch did not participate in this because he completely disowns this movie.
hmm
He considers it his only true failure. And I think it's something he just wants to move on from. And unfortunately, it's too weird and too much of his style for us to truly forget, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
if this were a mediocre movie, that'd be one thing, but this is
No.
bizarre.
Yeah, it is that is the number one word to use with this is just
Yeah,
bizarre.
bizarre.
It's like every 2 seconds there was something I really like. Oh, that's a cat. Okay, I
Kitty.
was like, is that my girlfriend? No, this is Reggie Muscles. Um, God, it would go from something I really really liked. Like I loved the editing. I love the set design. I think it's a weird like everything sticks with you when you look at it. But then it would go into just how did you feel about the voiceovers?
I mean, look, if we wanted to dive in, we can dive in. I mean, I was going to try to bring up some compliments, but we can talk about the parts of this movie that are clearly a struggle to adapt the novel, right? There are clearly
hmm
things where they just didn't know how to adapt or translate. And these voiceovers, these pesky voiceovers are the clearest example. Um, it was it was a really unsettling thing for me. It
Yeah.
really got under my skin in uh David Lynch is famous for doing that, but not in the way he usually intends, right? It just kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, I was like, once you add that, again, it's the style that doesn't
Mhm.
gel with the material. That's like, with that material, of course he's going to do it a lot. Of course he's going to have the voiceovers a lot because literally it reads,
And it's the fact
it's like
that
what a book sounds like. It's like
yeah,
what reading a book in your head sounds like
but it's
and
not
looks like in a movie. But
because
like,
I don't whisper in my head when I read a book. I don't
God,
I
they appeared so quickly. My favorite, wait, where I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Where is it? I laughed out loud when Kyle, our buddy Kyle, like just inhales the spice and he just says the word. He's just like, the spice. I was like,
yeah. It's just like ASMR.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was David Lynch. I don't think that was probably his decision because I think
Not, no, it can't be.
the studio forced him to really they forced exposition on him. They said you have
hmm
to explain this. You have to
hmm
explain this even if it means insulting the audience's intelligence. In fact,
Yeah.
Devin, originally when this movie came out, there the theater people, whatever you call the people whose job it was to stand out there and hand out promotional cards, they
Yeah.
handed out like fact sheets about the Dune universe, like a cheat sheet.
No, they didn't.
They did,
Oh God.
and
But
that
like
did
the
not,
first
according to the audience, that did not help.
Oh God, I was gonna say, but like the first 10 minutes of the movie are a cheat sheet. For like the rest of like it's just it's the expository. And I was like at the beginning I was like, okay, I'm giving you a little bit of it's a dense book. I get it. Okay, it's gonna be difficult to adapt with the way this is gonna look. Like that's fine. But it just didn't stop.
I just I get the use of a voiceover, but
hmm
the presentation of having the princess, whatever the hell
Yeah.
her name is,
Oh
appear
hell yeah.
against the backdrop, it was like a parody.
I don't know if you remember. She came back, I think, like twice after. Like she's like, just a reminder. She
Really?
like faded back in to give like
I don't even
another
think I have that in
thing.
my notes. Did I
No,
totally miss
yeah,
that?
no. It's like one time, it's like she faded out, and then they faded her back in for one more thing of context, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is so perfect. And
So,
that's when I say
yeah.
perfect, I loved watching it, but it's after context. That's the thing. It's like I'm looking at almost like a novelty. Like I'm like, oh my God, the fact that this thing exists right now, and this is such a mess in all these different ways.
Did it
Like,
did it hurt you as a David Lynch fan though to see what he was forced to do?
yeah,
To see the ideas he was forced to work with. First off, he wanted this to be like closer to 3 hours, and they forced him to make it just two.
yeah, yeah.
Um, just another example of how wrangled he was by the studio. But look,
Hmm.
we can nitpick all day. We can laugh at all the silly details
Give
all
me the
day.
Lynch cut. Give me the. I'm gonna rally IMDb people, like a bunch of internet
If it
like
exists, we might see it
trolls, to
one day.
like.
I don't know. Um,
No, no, I'm sure it doesn't and everything. It just
that's
that'd
a
be.
shame. Isn't
I would
that
have loved
weird?
to see it.
Yeah, I mean, back then, it was so easy to lose film or destroy it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was so vulnerable. And now it's like you can just upload things to the cloud. There's not
Yeah.
that mythology. I guess there was
No,
around.
no.
I don't
We now have a 4:3 ratio auteur version of Justice League just because of that. So
know.
that's great. No, no, it's
Okay.
hysterical.
But what I was saying is that we can laugh at the details all day, but I
Mhm.
really want to get to the big picture problem. Um, and I did not like watching this, by the way. I have to admit it was a struggle for me to get through this.
I
Um,
slept the first time. Yeah.
up to the first
Decided
time.
to watch it. I started to watch it late, and I got about I think 45, and I realized I woke up, it was over, and I was like, shit, I was liking that, and I was like, I'm just tired. I was like, God, but definitely something to do with it. Yeah, definitely.
So so here's my first big comment. It's an ugly movie.
Hmm.
I mean, it is unpleasant. Dare I say at points unbearable to look at. I
Yeah,
mean
the
that
Harkonnen world, dude. It's a
it,
mess. Anything with the green. Oh my God, it just looks like a shitty play. It looks like a play. Some of the sets and everything, like in not a good way.
exactly. And you
Yeah.
brought up the VFX, and maybe it's a cheap shot, but critics at the time said these effects are terrible. Like,
I didn't know that. I didn't.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's
Uh,
great. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know if you on remember when they're shooting off of the like they're shooting the Harkonnens while riding the worms and shit. They have one shot of it's like they had one minigun prop and they keep switching different characters onto it to like showcase that they're shooting. It's like the same shot, but it's like, okay, now you got Patrick Stewart. Okay, now you've got like
yeah. Yeah,
it's
I mean, I think
hysterical. Oh my God.
anything, the action scenes, we have to get to that. That's its own
Sorry,
thing,
yeah.
though.
Oh God.
No,
This
but
is so
yeah,
it's an ugly film,
foreshadowing.
yes.
Um, it's ugly. The effects are terrible and cheap and
Hmm.
charmless. Everything looks ridiculous. Everybody,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
actor looks ridiculous. Even Patrick
Eyebrows.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Even Patrick Stewart, one of the most distinguished, dare I say, dignified actors of the science fiction tradition, I guess. When he comes on screen, he's carrying some kind of a ukulele, and when he turns his head, you see that he has some kind of white
It's his hair.
hair flowing
Yeah,
from his
yeah.
bald
Okay, I
spot.
wanted to look it up. Yeah, it just doesn't. This is ridiculous.
So
Oh
let me
God.
let me ask you this: is there anything about this movie that you can take seriously?
The montages. The montages.
Hmm.
Whenever there were dream sequences and Paul was literally, literally just the dream sequences. Honestly, I loved looking at them. That was the Lynchian thing to me. Those were like the very like
That was
they're trance
unregulated
like.
Punchian. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that bits of him shone through, and that was one of the ones that I found the most. Because I was like, symbolism. I was,
Hey, you have a
I was like,
point. I mean, you
Yeah,
definitely have a point. I mean, that's definitely none of this works as a Dune adaptation, but there are a
no,
few spots where it works as a Lynch movie.
exactly. That is how I
Mhm.
feel about it. Yeah, yeah.
But in
Mm,
1984, there were more Dune fans than there were David Lynch fans. So do the
mhm.
math. And when there's a movie with such an infamous reputation, especially when it's an adaptation or sequel or it's a part of this big franchise, I actually like to champion those movies. I like
Mhm.
underdogs.
Yeah.
Um, some of my, I have a lot of controversial opinions about movies in the Halloween franchise,
Yeah.
in the Friday the 13th Nightmare franchise.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love the Black Sheep movie,
Yeah.
but this one, unfortunately, there was one thing I had to really defend it, and that is Kyle MacLachlan
Yeah.
as Paul.
Yeah.
And that is the one thing that I really don't see the new movie improving on, frankly.
No, I agree. I was like, you're gonna give me Mr. Vanilla toothpaste actor and like new dude. Like, look, he's a great actor. I'm just like he's he's so palatable. He's so palatable. He's skilled, but he's palatable. What's cool about McLaughlin as Paul, you could tell why it launched his career. You can tell like right after that, like, because granted, like it was a $40 million movie and it made 30 million, so it's not. I'm not going to say everybody went to go see it, but I think I agree. His performance is good, and it's definitely like a showcase for how good he looks on camera. Oh
He's a
my
very
God.
photogenic man.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
photogenic dude, and he has
Yeah.
complete control over his facial expressions and like his body language. Now you couldn't really you didn't really get a lot of variability with his cadence because of the spice, but you
That is
but
not
like
his
he
fault, though. I mean,
yeah
let's be
yeah, and
real.
that's the
That's not
thing.
his
Yeah,
fault.
it's he's great in it. I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I
Yeah.
liked watching him a lot.
What I was going to say is I understand why David Lynch kept working with him,
Hmm.
because all the actors in this movie, I don't think went on to work with Lynch again. I might be
Two of
missing
them.
two.
I actually wrote them down. They're both in Twin Peaks. I was like, ah, shit. You have Jack Nance. Um, there's something in the
Who is
percolator.
Jack Nance in this movie?
Jack Nance. Oh God, I don't know if you remember the scene where Sting is just getting steamed up in this tube
Oh, yeah, that's
while
a
the
very
bear.
interesting scene. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Jack Nance is cranking the knob to make the steam go. Yeah,
Jack
he's
Nance is the
Jack Nance is the knob cranker in
okay.
the steamy Sting scene. That's what
That
I'll.
man was a racer head. He deserved
I
so much better
know.
than that.
And then you have Everett McGill who played Big Ed in Twin Peaks and
Okay.
everything. So
All right.
you got Big Ed and then you got Jack Nance. So that's
Minor
very
characters.
minor characters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the major actors Lynch would not work with again,
No,
aside from
no.
Kyle MacLachlan, and you totally understand why.
Hmm.
I've heard McLaughlin criticized as being wooden, but that to me is just this character. I mean,
It's the carrot. He doesn't feel anything.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
discipline that he puts himself through. It's this this world of total high class elitism that suppresses vulnerability and
Hmm.
emotions. I had no problem with that. Now let's
Yeah,
talk
you're
about the
you're a
act.
book reader though. That's so you had context of this performance going in.
I guess. I mean, but again, that's still not his fault. I
Yeah.
think
No, it's not his fault and everything, but I could get why somebody watching it in the theaters could be like, "Wow,
you have a point.
why put more into it?" When really, like, he's doing perfectly. He's doing like
Mhm.
Lynch read the book like God, I think like 5 times or something like that. Like he had 10 different iterations of the screenplay, and then he had read the book more than once. So he knew he directed Kyle
So was he
great.
like a fan? Was he like a fanboy of Dune?
I don't know. He liked the book. He liked the ideas in there from what I read and everything in terms of like just power, religion, and how it is kind of this cyclical, struggle between the many, the few, the powerful, like whatever. I think he didn't outwardly like I love this book, but yeah, he
Mhm.
he was writing it as he wrote it, man. He wrote like a ton of different screenplay iterations, so he must have found something in it, you know. I was wanting that. I was wanting him to take something from. I didn't want Dune. I wanted him to use Dune as a palette to get his things out. I was like, whenever I'll throw it back, but whenever Paul first interacts with Duke Leto and everything, his father, and he's like, "I'm so proud of you, son." And I was like, "Lynch, daddy issues." I was like, "Give it to me." I was like, give me the knee." I was like, I was like, "David, communicate to me something that you deal with. That way I can not understand it and pick it apart." And it just never got there. Never got there.
I mean, the actual substance of this movie, it's bare bones. It's for the most
You
part
mean the
surface level.
spice?
I've heard Dune described as Shakespearean, and this
Mhm.
movie is like Shakespeare in the Park, I'd
Yeah.
say, or Shakespeare against the green screen, blue screen, whatever they used back in the day.
Literally, the Harkonnen base. I'm pretty sure they were just green screens
Yeah.
left up from another movie. Like, you just
Now
like.
let's talk about Sting. First off, favorite police song. Go.
Oh God, that's not. I have it. I have it down here. I promise. Not every breath you take. It's not a message in a bottle and everything. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Now, when I say I've got it, I don't know if you have Spotify. Everything's lost on there. It's just a giant blur of like 9,000 songs. Of like, God, let me find it. Oh, So Lonely. Okay, that's
So
what it is.
lonely. There you go.
I literally have 4 saved. It's Can't Stand Losing You. So Lonely, Message in a Bottle, and then
Yeah, mine is
Every Little Thing. No.
yeah, mine is SOS. All right, now
Mhm.
talking about Sting, was this his first movie as an actor? Probably was.
I was like, I'll be surprised if that wasn't.
I thought he was really good. I was
Yeah.
super impressed. To be honest, and I'm not a fan of Sting. I'm not even a fan of the Police, but I was impressed.
I so I was impressed. I don't know. He just has it's like he has one face. I liked the face, but just the whole time he's like got an eye. It's like he's ready to fight Paul from the very beginning, which again oh, by the way, this is a good turn of phrase. A way I would describe the movie is it's lived in before you get there. Like there are things that are not explained. It kind of feels like these characters have already been interacting, and I think Fane or Steen's character is already kind of one of them. I was like, he came on the screen. I was like, what's up with this guy? I was like, all right, he looks itching to kill, and I don't know.
It was.
He
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because it's like he looked good visually, but I'm like, what? I can't think of any. This is almost blasphemous to say. I can't think of any performance until he got to the end of it and he had to interact with McLaughlin. Everything else I could just see is like Lynch being like, "Sit over there that way," and him being like, and then just kind of like. But yeah, he looked great. He looks like an alien. He looked, especially in that bronze. God,
So
curve.
I
Bronze
also
thong. That's
wanted
what
to
I'll call
bring
it.
I wanted to bring something up.
Mhm.
There were shots where I thought it would have been good or at least
Mhm.
fine, say for one detail. Um, pugs. At no point in the novel Dune are pugs mentioned anywhere, but every royal person in this movie has to have a pug in their arms at all times.
Which I would be okay with if it made sense. I feel like it would mean something. I'm like, I want it to mean something so bad, but I mean, honest to God, they probably were just like pugs, good people like. We know about the aristocracy, all of the rich people, it's whatever. Like, yeah,
Why not come
no,
up
it's
with a crazy science fiction creature,
yeah,
the
yeah,
equivalent of pugs or
yeah.
whatever? I mean, I don't even think pugs aren't like a royalty. Am I missing
No,
something about pugs here?
No, I mean, I actually just I saw a painting where this thing was like, this is relevant. Okay, so it's a painting from 1876, and there's straight up a pug, like, and it's about what was it? British military man and then two noble women. It's called On the Thames. Or sorry, On the Thames. How happy I could be with either, from James Tissot. But yeah, it's like maybe, but like even then, it just doesn't fit. It's like that whole thing the movie has a problem with, which I should say, I liked the movie. I do not think like, but I liked watching it. I like the novelty of it again. I think it's just batshit, and I could talk about it all day. But if they were like, Devin, is this a good movie? I would not say yes.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's the struggle of like, is how human is this thing? You know, there are too many. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but like there are bits that are like crazy, like that giant. Well, I don't want to keep spoiling things, but anything alien is like super alien. But like the pug, sometimes people seem too much like normal people to me, and not spacey Dune people. And the pug is like a huge thing with that too. I'm
Well,
like, what
that,
is the pug
yeah.
doing here?
Um, it's just a weird clash between him trying to evoke real life ideas,
Mm-hmm.
like real life cultures, and him
Yes.
creating his own Lynchian
Yeah.
alternate society. Um,
Yes.
it's just a blend that doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
And I never see the logic of when he decides to incorporate real things, aside from, some of the bad guys is the Harkonnens troops. They look like stormtroopers, like
Oh,
Nazi
I loved the
stormtroopers,
hazmat suits. Oh my God. I
which
was
is
like,
like,
that is,
okay. I mean, that is the
yeah,
most obvious reference in the world, so that's
yeah,
fine. But
yeah.
yeah, um, other things I like though, I I do think that when we actually get to the Fremen, their society, then I
Hmm.
feel like David Lynch really lets loose. Then I feel like
Yes,
he's
I
more into
wrote
the
that down. Mm.
yeah. So did you see the second half as being better than the first half?
Oh God, that's such a loaded. It's like it's like a different movie. Honest to God, that second half, complete. It's when I say action, I don't mean like it's action sequences the whole time, but it's everything that was set up in the first. It's just, but everything. Let me dial back. So I don't. I I think there were a lot of things that I liked a lot that were more watchable. I loved the giant worms, and then the fact that out of this orchestral choral soundtrack, just these electric finger lick
Mm,
guitars come along whenever the sands are. I love shit like that. I love
yeah.
but the first half, it's not like, I get it, it's a second half, but I was loving picking apart the first half so much and sucking in like why this thing existed. Oh my God, like the sets are so lavish, and like my Christ. Um,
So I will say that the worms are something from the book where I totally get why David Lynch would want to direct this.
yeah.
That's perfect for him.
Hmm.
And it's handled for the most part really well in terms of the effects, in terms of the presence they have. I
Hmm.
love the scene where Paul learns to ride them. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
there's some bad effects. There's one shot that actually it looks like a Wes Anderson movie. It's this perfectly symmetrical shot where it's like a super wide on the worm's back, and you just see this little tiny silhouette of Paul running across.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
It's
cute.
like there's no, it's just completely horizontal. Oh, that's
Exactly.
good. I remember that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Freeman
so there
rule.
you go.
The Freeman.
That's a good thing that David Lynch clearly was comfortable with adapting. Like he was like, I can do this. I know how to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can tell. Uh, yeah, Freeman were great. I like Paul's whenever they show up, and it happens so quickly. They're like, "We shall grant him sanctuary." Not even 2 seconds after, he lunges forward and punches the guy in the face and like
Yeah.
runs off. I was like, "Oh
Now
my God!" I was like, "They're trying to help you."
I want to show you something. So the last 10 minutes of this movie, this is the book Dune. This is the copy I
Mm-hmm.
have.
Mm-hmm.
The last 10 minutes are probably like this amount right here.
No. Are you
It's
serious?
it's I mean, it's not mathematically accurate, but that was the impression I got at least.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
the last 10 minutes are just it's ridiculous.
So that's why it feels that way. Okay, because it
Yeah.
definitely it felt like a snowball, genuinely. No, no, that's it. Yeah, yeah, just like it just was setting up so much, and then it was like, ah, shit, we got to finish this thing, and then just like every single action sequence, every single was just thrown.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember looking at the time bar on my Blu-ray player and saying, like, do we really only have 20 minutes left? Like, we haven't gotten
yeah,
this or that. Like,
yeah.
what's the deal? Um, I'm not gonna spoil the resolution between Paul and Sting. Don't remember Sting's name. Um, not satisfying.
Oh no, I expected no. The I'm trying to think of how to dance around what happens. The visual aftermath of the results of that altercation or that thing between the that surprised me.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's real blatant. I was like, that's kind of jarring to look at. I was like, this is a little gross, but
A little gross.
yeah, and then it just
Is
ends.
That's very generous for this movie. A little gross.
Oh no, no. Oh God, no, no, no. The
I
Baron
mean,
was disgusting.
the
Ugh.
first thing we see that's really out there is that speaker for the guild. That's this floating brain that has a mouth that I don't want to be crude here, but I think everyone who's
It's
seen this movie knows what it looks like.
yeah, yeah, and it has four. It
Yeah,
has four. It has two on its sides. It
yeah.
has three, maybe one in the face. I'm like, which again, Lynch, a lot of psychosexual stuff going on. A lot of his things. Like that's just kind of
Which you could
almost
argue there
untrademarked.
was that in the book, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was more subtext,
Hmm.
but that's harder to communicate in a movie.
Yeah.
I didn't need the psychosexual stuff in the book. I'm
No.
generally even not a fan of that approach. It's just a very off-putting thing that makes me question the director's.
I was gonna say, yeah, the
Yeah,
creator and
yeah,
everything. You're like, how much of you are you putting into this, man? Like,
exactly, exactly. And that's a distraction for me. I want to watch the
yeah,
movie or read the
yeah,
book. I
yeah.
don't want to worry about the relationship the director has with their mother. It's just not a place I want to go. Have I gone to everything here? Oh, would this not make a great game on like the Tonight Show or something to stick your hand in the box and try not to yank it out as you're going through the
As
worst
oblivion burns
imaginable?
your hand to a crisp and you feel yeah, I would
Exactly.
love to see Jimmy Fallon stick his hand in a box and feel terrible for like 5 minutes. I'm kidding. No, but yeah, I would.
Well,
I'm
that's
excited to see
Jimmy
how.
listens to this show, so yeah, I hope
Oh
he did.
God, yeah, I don't want you to lose any followers after this. It's gonna be a huge controversy with the Tonight Show and the
And
yeah,
then I
I'm
won't get
excited to see
invited
what
on.
Timothy's what the box is gonna look like in this new one and everything. I can't imagine it's any huge variation. But
Pretty simple
by
idea.
yeah, yeah. By the way, just quick cue, how much I'm assuming not at all, did any parts of this movie look like what you imagined they would be while you're reading it? Any?
That's actually a really good question. Now, this is now getting into my thoughts of the book, but I really could not imagine the world of Dune very well. I've really stumbled here over a lot of things. Like I didn't know what the body shields would look like. Um, I knew they wouldn't look like
Roblox.
Roblox, but I did not.
Roblox. Yeah.
If you asked me to direct this movie, I would be like, I don't know what the hell you want this to look like. I
Yeah.
mean, some stuff
Yeah.
is straightforward, like the worms,
Yeah.
and everything. But I remember reading all the stuff about the Harkonnen world, their culture. It said something in the novel about, oh, the Baron's his suspenders kind of flipped him around everywhere. I'm like, well, what the hell is that supposed to look like?
What is
I got my answer.
Yeah, literally, literally. So it does read like a gross mechanic, like or what how did I describe it?
Lady
Oh,
Jessica, I will say this.
mechanical abomination.
Yeah,
But what about Lady Jessica?
she looked nothing like I expected.
Yeah.
Just like she was, maybe I'm wrong. So correct me, Dune fans. I thought she was supposed to be very young, very beautiful in a very, traditional by our standards kind of way. She had a very piercing gaze. She did not seem like a concubine. I'll say
No.
that. Did you seem like one to you?
I again, you're asking me a question I can kind of answer because yes, I read a lot of dialogue with Jessica and everything. I mean, I didn't imagine her incredibly young. I was like, okay, 30s, whatever, something. I was like, she's obviously like, I didn't know if the Reverend Mother was like. At first, I was like, it's a grandmother. I'm completely wrong. But I was like, okay, so if she's super old, then she must be relative. This guy's 14. I can see the math. Yeah, still, she didn't look like what I expected either.
And of course, Paul does not look 14 in this movie.
Oh, at all. No. That
No.
is something that the new one, I think they could probably, I mean, you could make Chalamet look like a baby. He already kind of looks like a baby. You can make him look younger. Now making him look older and fierce, that's the that's the thing. That's the trouble that they might run into. But
I mean, if he's too scary, if he's too intimidating, he is gonna lose that Wonka movie that he's
yeah.
prepping for. You can't have a psychopath playing a Willy Wonka, not after Johnny Depp at least.
No, I was like, we had one. I was like,
Um,
that'd be a fun movie to talk about.
yeah, to be honest, yeah, I mean, I'm not watching that movie ever again, but
Oh
hey,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you want to shoot the shit about it.
No.
But I actually don't have a lot to say about Dune the movie. What I do have to say is Dune, the disaster that nearly ruined David Lynch's career. So let's talk about the fallout of this movie. You
Mhm.
already mentioned that it had a $40 million budget, the highest
Yeah.
still I think that he's worked with, and it made 30 million back. Right? Not literally
Mhm.
the not literally the worst bomb ever, but something that for a young director could be really devastating. Like, I don't think you can overestimate how in danger he was of not working again.
Yeah, genuinely, especially as a first timer. I gotta plug in my computer. It's
Yeah, he had
dying
only
over
done
here.
two movies before. He could have been Josh Trank. He could have been the Josh Trank of the 80s.
Yeah, he got offered Star Wars too. It's
And now
just
I'm glad you brought that up. This is confusing to me. So he turned down Star Wars because he said, well, Star Wars isn't my thing. But was Dune his thing? He didn't write
I,
Dune. He didn't come up
no,
with it.
no. I mean, he read it though. I mean, maybe again. You've read the book. I mean, I can imagine. Can you imagine being an auteur filmmaker being like, let me adapt this?
I would not have any ownership of it. I wouldn't think
Hmm.
that I had the right to do whatever I wanted with it.
Yeah, which is his whole thing. It's his whole. At least that's what I get from his movies. But
I think after this, he was like, that's the last time I tried to compromise on anything.
oh yeah, the behind the scenes for like any one of his movies. I think there's at least two in every movie, like featurette of him just like swearing whenever they're telling him to stop on like anything.
He-
You gonna
I
tell me
was
to
surprised
fucking
at how
cut?
much he
You gonna
curses. I was surprised.
a lot, quite a bit. He's quite a bit. Uh, yeah.
Um,
I didn't hate this movie. I love the montage sequences, the layers of images over the exposition, little transitions, like you see the Emperor's Golden Palace and the screen literally rips in half to them sleeping in bed for some reason. It's the only time that there's a screen rip transition. The guitar licks, the hazmat suits,
I did
like
like the score, by the way. I
the
shouldn't.
score was amazing.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Okay, real quick before we um, I love how you got all these, you got synths, you got the orchestral things, and then you have, for whatever reason, it ends with yacht rock. I love it. Like like that's so ridiculous to me. None of it makes sense, and it should not work, and it doesn't at all.
Mhm.
None of it works together. But yeah, man, great recommendation. I probably would not have watched this if you had not wanted to get me on here.
Which is interesting because you're a Dune fan. I'm sorry, a David Lynch fan.
Yes. I've
But
just been steered away from by so many people, and I'm like, I feel like I got a footnote, and I got a pretty.
yeah,
feel like I get it, you know.
You know, my stance on this movie is I don't hate it. I
Mm.
get why people hate it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I could imagine watching it with a bunch of friends and having a mystery science theater experience with
I
it.
was about to ask, yeah, when would you? Agree completely, my guy. That'd be
Oh
great.
yeah. I mean, hey, just come on down and we can make it happen. If we have
I'm
enough,
down.
we have
I know
enough
a
beers
couple
on
other
hand,
people.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe something even stronger. No, but I think it was a bad career move. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's just it is. What it is.
Mm.
And Dave, like some directors, like going to a totally different guy right now. But Rob Zombie, he made those Halloween movies. You know, they're very unpopular uh, as far as Halloween fans are concerned, and he still defends them to this day. He's like, I have no
Yeah,
regrets about that, right?
yeah, they're his thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, he made
So,
them.
and I think he's going to take that to his grave.
Mm-hmm.
David Lynch, he's no, he regrets it. He's very much ashamed of it.
He smithied it.
He said he did.
He
So
smithied it.
explain that to the audience, whoever doesn't know what that
So,
means.
okay, so real quick, because we don't have a lot of so when directors don't like their works, there is a name that they historically will put as a pseudonym on the end of the film. That way it's they don't have to be associated with it. That name is Alan Smithy.
Hmm.
And this is just another instance of a filmmaker doing just that.
But that's so ridiculous because everybody knew when this came out that David Lynch was the director. Like, this was not a low budget, under the radar thing. It was one of the biggest films of the year.
No, that and that Arrow video, that copy, which again is if you're gonna watch this movie, that's the way to do it. It's crispy. You can see all the grain. It's gorgeous. One of the special features that they do have is a series of trailers that they had around then. No, it was not a quiet film at all. It's like the next big sci-fi epic from director David Lynch.
And that's what
You've
they're
never
doing
seen
with the new
anything like
Dune.
it.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah,
they're doing with the new Dune. I mean,
yeah,
it's supposed to be
yeah.
the next big, it's supposed to be the next huge thing. They want to make a bunch of sequels.
Yeah, they're already
Um,
doing an HBO Max series, aren't they? Something like that too.
are they?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Let me
actually going to
look
look
up.
this
Yeah,
up real quick. You're going to see my
Dune
reaction in real time. Dune sequels, HBO Max.
simultaneous. Oh, no. Let me see what channel. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up with the fact that it's actually screening on there. But Dune
Okay,
the TV
so I
show.
think what you're thinking of is that it's going to be screening on HBO Max.
But would you not want a TV show that doesn't make any sense and is just kind of a cash grab to kind of keep it good? You're telling me you wouldn't want that?
Here's the
No.
thing. Here's the thing, right? And this is where I probably piss some people off.
Mhm.
I did not see a franchise in Dune. I did not see a fertile breeding ground for more stories. I
Mhm.
thought Frank Herbert constructed a very dense mythology that was built around this story.
Mhm.
There was nothing that I read though that hooked me up. I mean, I haven't read any of the sequels and any of the many sequels to the book for a reason.
Mhm.
So I think unless they change something very fundamental in this new one, my
I don't
attitude
think they will.
no, and they won't because they will get murdered by fans
Mhm.
if they do.
So real quick, it's called Dune: The Sisterhood.
What?
It's
Wait, so is it real? Hold on. Doing the sisterhood film. Ugh, gross.
it's happening.
Movie has
They're
not come out yet. Okay,
no, they're
y'all.
avataring it, man.
And the weird thing to me is, you know, that wonderful director from Montreal, whose name I still can't pronounce. Um, he himself, he's not a box office guy, he's a critics guy. So
Are
kind of
you
almost like David Lynch.
talking about our good friend Denis? Are you?
Denis,
Yeah,
S
you
is
say
silent.
Montreal. Yeah, yeah.
He's
Let
from,
me.
I know he's from Quebec.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's not a box office guy at all. His stuff's really good though. Big fan.
Yeah, like I said, he's a critics guy. You and I, we like his stuff. We love his stuff. But I'm scared that Warner Brothers is going to ask him to do something that he has no interest in doing, making the next Star Wars. He won't do it. But this is exactly what happened with Blade Runner, right? His Blade Runner. He
Yeah.
did not make a box office hit deliberately. I heard him once say, I made the most expensive art house movie in the world.
You could tell. It's a
Yeah.
gorgeous film. Yeah, that's I'm excited. Here's the thing. I think both of these movies, the 1984 and the 2021 one, I think the only thing they're going to have in common is I think they're visually going to be interesting. I think they're visually, there's going to be something about it that's going to be striking. Not as striking as the 1984 one, because that's like, none of it makes sense. It's just like, just quiche and like fucking high art and like everything thrown at you. But yeah, I'm seeing it in IMAX whenever my friend comes in town, so I will update you as to how I feel about it. But yeah, it's gonna be a trip, man. I'm excited.
Maybe I'll come into town, huh? Maybe we'll have a little
You're gonna
Dune
fly to
party.
Atlanta? You're okay.
There are worse reasons to go to Atlanta.
Yeah. We got a good video store here. We got a great art town, or got a great art house theater that's really supportive of local artists. I mean, consider it. It'd be fun.
So, a final question for you. What do you think is the worst pairing of a director to a franchise? Meaning, yeah. Just think about
God, there are worse ones than this one. There were
They're much worse ones.
All right, let me think. God,
I have one for you.
Tell me.
M. Night Shyamalan and The Last Airbender.
Oh God, I don't know how that slipped over my head. Yeah, it's awful. That's like I don't know. I don't know.
That
what
might
they
be
were
too
thinking
obvious,
with that.
honestly.
No, but like that is definitely one of them. That's like, oh God. Yeah, I hate to disappoint you, but genuinely, honest to God, if you hadn't have said it, I totally would have said The Last Airbender. I'm not even.
I'm sorry that I stole that from you.
No. Seriously, I'm actually quite frustrated. Let me go ahead and look this up. Actor. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing. No. This is a great question. Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree with you. I don't think there's anything worse than that Avatar reboot that it just did not. This whitewashed. It's just not good. It's just none of it.
Yeah.
None of it at all.
So, you know what? I'm going to
What?
ask the same question to the audience. If anyone knows of another terrible waste of a director's talents on an existing IP, let us know in the comments, because that is a great question and one I ponder quite often. I think it's great that David Lynch bounced back after this with, one of my favorite films of his, Blue Velvet.
Yes,
Where
which he was able to fund because of Dune. So I mean, there's a silver lining to this and everything.
I guess so. I mean, I think he needed to try something like Dune in order to feel secure in knowing that he was his own man. He was his own artist.
J.J. Abrams and Star Wars? No, I'm kidding. No.
I think he's too much like it.
No, it's not that. That's not bad. It's just not bad. No, but yeah, M. Night, and it just didn't make any sense. Oh, David Gordon Green in Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people like that. I mean, hey, I'm actually about to see Kills tonight. I don't know about you.
Oh, please text me about it, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, it's interesting because you have him and you have Rob Zombie, both of whom I think on paper don't really work for that franchise. I mean, at least Rob Zombie made horror movies, but horror movies nothing like Halloween. And David Gordon Green, he's had a weird career. He went from being the next Terrence Malick to being James Franco's director for hire, to now rewriting all these classic horror franchises. It's a weird arc.
It's weird. Yeah.
And Danny McBride, you can couple him in with that.
Oh yeah, no, I,
Yeah.
I I think Danny McBride whenever I think of him first, and that's his fault.
All right. So, Devin, really appreciate you joining me to discuss this weird ass movie.
Yeah, dude, thanks for inviting me. Seriously, I probably wouldn't watch it unless you spurred me on to do it, and I'm so fucking glad that you did.
I'm
That
so sorry.
no,
Holding you
come on,
responsible. I'm
it
so
was the
sorry.
good kind of bad
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
the-
Yeah. Hey, do you have any other words for us? Any other thoughts to leave us with?
Any other thoughts to leave you with? Well, if anybody has the chance on the topic of Atlanta, if you do have the chance to get down here or live here and you haven't already, Plaza Theater is a fantastic place to be. They just showed a recent screening of the 1984 version that I missed, and they paired it with Nightmare on Elm Street 3 for whatever reason. Don't
Terrible.
know. Yeah,
Terrible. I
yeah.
mean, that movie's
That's
great.
why
I'm
maybe.
comparing this
Yeah,
stuff.
because they're both like malign. Yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, it's please go to Plaza Theater. It's not like they need the money, but it's just great. It's
Okay.
always a good time when I go there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Support your local theater. Support your local
Literally, yeah,
on-chain
because
theaters
God knows that River Oaks had issues
back here in Houston.
that.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
issues. I mean, they're out of business. So
yeah, and Weingarten Realty no, don't need to use the names. All right, thank you, Gabe. Seriously,
thank you, sir. And keep me updated on your movie.
I will. I'll let you. Yeah, I sent you those stills. I want you to look at them. They're really, really good.
I will. And then
Yeah,
we'll have you
seriously,
back on. And we can turn this into a little panel discussion. I would love to talk to you guys about how you made that movie.
Yeah, me too, because we lost our ending and had to come up with one in 15 minutes. So it's a fun story.
That's the story of so many great films.
Oh, I know. And it turned out great.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well,
Thanks again.
You take care, sir. All right, guys. Do that subscribe thing, do that like thing, and do that follow thing. And I will catch you next time for all-nighter discussions.
Majib!